Hello and welcome. Today we're going to play Bullfrogs. And so during this game, we're going to show you how to play it as we actually play the game. Now Bullfrogs is a very light and easy game. It's very simple and it's very fun, and it's not a very long game. Maybe 30 minutes at most. If you have 4 players, it could take a little bit longer than that. But it's a very short, easy, fun game. And it's really cool. Because if you look at this box here, it tells you, as soon as it clears up, there we go, that the ages is 8 and plus. And I really like the fact that they put tadpoles to indicate, young people. So that's pretty cool. I liked how they did that just for that aspect. So that's pretty cool. So if you're a tadpole of that particular age, then this is definitely an easy game for you to understand and play. So let's see. Today, let's see. So to start with, how you start this game off is you always start with these particular cards here. There's this is the log, and then there are 4 starter lily pads. And I've got most of them in the right spot, I think. I think this one goes, yeah. Yeah, that's right. I got it wrong spot. This should be going this way, I think. And this should be over here, I think. Yeah, that looks better. And then, there. This is actually supposed to be over here, like that. And then this is supposed to go here, I think. Yep, that looks right. That looks about right. So, but yeah, that's kind of how it's supposed to look like. And so each of us, when you play a 2-player game, for instance, you'll only play with 2 different colored lily pads. And so I'm green, and so I have 10 cards as my starting deck. So I have 10 cards here. And then you always start with a hand of 3 cards. And so then on your turn, you will play a lily pad of your choice. And then you will put down, deploy a certain amount of frogs onto other lily pads. You can't directly deploy to the log, but you're deploying to any other lily pad, meaning they're hopping from the lily pad that's just arriving and hopping on to another lily pad. And then at the end of your turn, after you've done that, you'll draw 1 more card from the top of your deck to your hand. And then when the game is over, is when you play your last lily pad. So the active player who plays their last lily pad, there's only 10 lily pads in total here, then that would be the end of the game after their turn was done. So, oh, what was that? Oh yeah, I forgot to mention. Today, my friend Croaker over there, who's kind of hiding in the corner there, is going to be playing with us. He usually doesn't have an interest in playing board games, but he couldn't resist since this game is all about him. Alright, so shall we get started? Normally the player who's the youngest would start first, and since Croaker over there is actually younger than me, he's going to be going first. So he's already gotten his 3 cards for his hand, and so now let's see what he's got. So, he's got this card here that has 3 lily pads on it, and it's worth 4 victory points if he ends up getting it. And that's one thing about this game. If you can get a lily pad in your color, then you score an additional point. So that's good to know. But you can still take other lily pads from other players and keep them from getting that extra point, because you still get that number there on the card if you do acquire a lily pad. So he's got 2 3s and 2 4 and 1 4. So what do the lily pads on the card signify? They signify the amount of frogs that you get to deploy on that turn. So with this card, I would get to deploy 4, and with the other 2, I'd get to deploy 3 frogs. Now, whenever you put out a card, you must deploy to the other lily pads. You can never deploy on the lily pad that has just arrived, because that's where they're coming from, technically. So he's going to play 4 of his regular frogs. Now in this game, each player will start with about 13, I think it is, frogs. And then they'll also have 2 bullfrogs as well. Now, the bullfrogs are like a one-time use almost. And these frogs you might get back. But the bullfrogs are a one-time use. So if they drown after the lily pad sinks in the game, because it gets too heavy with all these frogs on it, then what's going to happen is you're going to lose those bullfrogs. So they're very important to you to try, and they're very important if you can somehow get a bullfrog on to that log there. It's possible, but it's not possible, really possible with these, just so you know it. All right, so he's going to put it here, and so now he has to deploy the 4 frogs to any other lily pad of his choice. So let's say he puts 1, 2 there, and then let's say he puts, oh, I don't know, a 3rd one there, and he puts 1 over here. Now, he doesn't have to deploy here. He could also deploy his frogs over there, even though they're on the other side. It just matters that he can't deploy on the lily pad he just added to this area here. Okay, so then his turn would be done. So the last thing he would do before it would be my turn is he would draw the next card and add it to his hand. And so now it would be my turn. So what do I have? I have a 3, I have a 2, and I have a 3. So 2 3s and a 2. So with this one, I can only deploy 2 frogs. With the other one, I can only deploy 3 frogs. So I'm going to actually deploy, I'm going to deploy this one, the 3. I'm going to put it over here on this side. And that means I get to deploy 3 frogs. So I'm going to go ahead and place one there. And I'm going to place another one there. Oh, sorry, I can't place them on there. Sorry. My bad. So I'll place one there. And I'll place one there. And I'll place one... Let's place one here. Actually, you know what? Let's place one here instead. Just to try to steal that from him if possible. Maybe. Who knows? I might be able to. And then I would draw one more card from my hand, and my turn would be done. So, then it's his turn. So, now he's got 3 cards again, so he gets to choose again. And he's still got another 4, so he's actually going to go ahead and play his 4 card here. And he's going to play it, let's see, let's play it here first. And so now he gets to deploy 4 more frogs. Wow. He's getting a lot of frogs out there for sure. Let's see here. Well, he's gonna actually take this one here, and he's gonna put this one here, and then he's gonna put 2 more on this one. Now, he could have easily gained the lily pad by putting them all on this card, and he would have gotten 9 points. Which is obviously really cool. But the problem is there's only 2 lily pads here. Or should I say there's only the log and 1 lily pad. So if he had done that, only 2 frogs would have been able to jump to a corresponding slot. And yes, he would have gotten this one right on the spot, because that would have triggered this one to be full. Because you see, once all of the slots on a lily pad are now full, then the lily pad begins to sink. And then certain frogs will jump to adjacent lily pads, or the log, and then those that don't survive will just be added back to your supply. And the person who scored, meaning the person who had the most frogs on the lily pad, would get the lily pad to their collection for some points at the end of the game. But if there was any bullfrogs on that lily pad and it wasn't able to jump to a corresponding spot, you'd lose it forever. So that's something to note. And he could have done that with this, but then only 2 frogs would have been able to jump to safety, and the rest would have gone back to his supply. So it's not necessarily the best strategy to immediately take a lily pad immediately, which means that he can hold off and wait and try to get more lily pads next to this one before he scores this one. And then, if I wanted to make it so he can't get too many frogs, that means I would have to put one here, so that way he could score this lily pad. So that's the strategy he's thinking. Will I fall for it? Will I go for it so he can't save as many frogs or not? Because if I put one here, then he has to move mine to safety first because I'm the one that didn't win the lily pad. So he would either have to move me here or here, and since he wants the log, he would have to move me here. And of course, he would still win this one regardless, but then mine would be saved and it would go there. For instance, it would hop to this lily pad and still be safe, and then all of his would sink and drown. Same thing with those. They would sink and they would drown. Majority. So, that's the strategy. Do you go for it? Alright, so we'll continue on in the next video.